For years, Earth had been sending messages into space. Some were greetings, some were music, some were just silent signals, repeating over and over again. Most people thought no one would ever answer. Some laughed, others forgot, but one day, someone did. A bright light appeared above Jupiter. It wasn't a star. It was something new, something different. It was a ship. The world went quiet. News channels stopped talking about politics. People stopped arguing online. Everyone watched the sky. Everyone waited. The ship moved slowly, carefully. It wasn't big. It wasn't scary. Its lights were soft and its shape was smooth, like a silver leaf floating through space. The United Nations quickly sent a welcome message. For the first time in human history, Earth was preparing for first contact. The alien ship stopped near Earth's orbit. It stayed quiet for 3 days. Then on the 4th day, it answered. The message was simple. We are the Varelians. We come in peace. May we speak. And just like that, everything changed. The humans built a meeting platform in space, a neutral place. It was half metal, half glass, floating above Earth's blue oceans. The alien ship docked slowly. No weapons, no guards, just 3 Varelian diplomats, tall and glowing with soft blue skin and long eyes. The lead diplomat was named Sirach. He looked calm, almost kind. Captain Elena Morgan, a human military officer, stood on the platform, ready to greet them. The meeting began with smiles. We are honored, Elena said, her voice steady. Sirach replied, we have waited a long time to speak with your kind. You are loud thinkers, bright souls. Humans were excited. The Varelians didn't seem dangerous. Their technology was advanced but peaceful. They offered information, trade, even medical knowledge. Over the next 2 days, small discussions turned into deep talks. Plans were made. Agreements were signed. Everything was going smoothly. Until day 3. During a private session, Captain Morgan received a short, silent message through her wrist console. It was not from Earth's government. It had no sender name, just a code, one she recognized instantly. Her face turned pale. Her heart dropped. She stood up and walked to the corner of the room. One of her team members followed. What's wrong, Captain? He whispered. She showed him the message. 4 words. They're almost here. He stared at it. You think it's real? She nodded. Only one group uses that code. He swallowed hard. Should we inform command? No, she said. Not yet. No one else must know. Not until we're sure. But it was already too late. In Earth's orbit, far beyond the peaceful platform, a sensor blinked red. Then another. Then 10 more. An automated defense satellite picked up a sudden warp signature, a large one. No one on the platform knew it yet. But far out in space, something big was moving fast, straight toward Earth. Back on the platform, Sirach smiled gently at Elena. Your kind has much history, he said. We have read your broadcasts, your stories, your wars, your peace. Captain Morgan tried to stay calm. History teaches us how to survive. Sirach tilted his head. Your people speak much of fear, of monsters in the dark. Do you believe in such things? Elena didn't answer. 20 minutes later, the sky turned red for just 1 second. It was a tiny flicker, barely visible, but someone saw it. The Varelian assistant looked up. What was that? Elena didn't respond. Her console buzzed again. This time she read it out loud, but only to herself. Unknown fleet entering solar system. Estimated arrival 1 hour. Her breath caught in her throat. She turned to Sirach. We may need to delay tomorrow's session. Sirach blinked. Why? She forced a smile. Weather. He looked confused. There is no weather in space. She said nothing. On the ground, deep inside a human command bunker, alarms began to sound. Generals looked at the screen. 20 ships. No flags. No IDs. No response. But old designs, human designs. One general whispered, they're back. Another nodded. But why now? No one had the answer. But they all knew one thing. This was not part of the plan. Back in space, Captain Morgan stood at the window. She stared into the black sky. She couldn't see the fleet yet, but she felt it. The Varelians had no idea what was coming. They thought this was just first contact. But this was something else. Something worse. She whispered to herself, "God help us. They found him." The alien ship still floated calmly above Earth. The Varelians were preparing for another day of peaceful talks. Their eyes were full of curiosity, not fear. They believed the humans were calm, honest, and open. But down below, Earth was changing. Deep under the ground in secret bunkers and cold rooms, human commanders were not sleeping. Every screen showed the same thing: an unknown fleet, coming fast. There were 20 ships, large, old, built by humans but not controlled by any government. Their engines were strange, glowing with blue fire. They did not answer hails. They didn't stop. They were coming straight for Earth. In the orbiting platform, Captain Elena Morgan stood stiff near the window. Her eyes were cold. She didn't blink. Behind her, her assistant whispered, "It's real, isn't it?" "Yes," she said. "It's real." "What should we do?" Elena didn't answer right away. She turned and looked at the Varelian team. They were laughing softly, their voices musical, their skin glowing in the soft artificial light. They had no weapons, no guards. They trusted the humans fully. They had no idea what was coming. Elena sighed. "We can't tell them. Not yet. But they'll be in the crossfire." "I know." In a secret lab on Earth, a Varelian technician named Telvo was going through the human history archives. He had been assigned to study Earth's military past. At first, it was just data, wars, battles, old news. But then he found something strange. It was a classified file hidden deep in a civilian network, buried under a fake music archive. Inside it was a name: Project Lazarus. Telvo tried to open the file, but the screen flashed red. He was locked out. But he had already seen the summary. Subject escaped. Location unknown. Contact with old fleet suspected. Earth Command denies knowledge. He sat back confused. Old fleet? Escaped subject? Denied knowledge? Something was wrong. Very wrong. Telvo contacted his commander, Sirach, through a private channel. "Sir, I found something strange in Earth's system." Sirach raised an eyebrow. "You hacked their files." "It wasn't locked. Not at first. But the file, it spoke of a secret. Something called Project Lazarus. And a fleet. Not Earth's current one. Something older." Sirach frowned. "Do you believe they are hiding something?" Telvo hesitated. "Yes, and I think they're scared." Back on the platform, Elena Morgan watched the sky. Her console buzzed again. "Unknown fleet ETA. 37 minutes. She turned to her assistant. "Activate blackout protocol. No transmissions in or out. But no arguments. Do it." The assistant nodded and ran off. Elena's hand shook. Not from fear, from memory. She had served in the same war that birthed those ships. She remembered them. Ships with no mercy. Soldiers with no code. A breakaway human fleet that vanished after the war, taking one of their worst commanders with them. A man known only by a number, 711. No photo, no voice, just rumors. A ghost in a uniform. And now that ghost was coming home. On the alien ship, Telvo and Sirach gathered their team. "Something is wrong with the humans," Telvo said. "They are acting calm, but their systems are locking down. Their security is rising. And their orbit sensors are all focused in one direction." "Where?" Sirach asked. Telvo showed the screen. Above the Earth, a blinking red triangle appeared. Sirach narrowed his eyes. "That is not a normal fleet approach." "No," Telvo said. "It's a war approach." Elena stepped into the conference room, where Surak was waiting. He smiled. "Captain, is everything well?" She sat down slowly. "Yes, everything is fine." But Surak had lived a long time. He could hear the lie in her voice. "Are you sure?" he asked gently. "Because our sensors just picked up something very loud." Elena looked at him. For a second, her mask almost fell. Then she stood up. "I'm ending the session early. Please return to your ship. For safety." "For whose safety?" Surak asked. She didn't answer. As the Varelians returned to their ship, Telvo stayed behind. He was scanning the sky. His eyes widened. Through the darkness of space, shapes were forming. Long, sharp, old war designs, human symbols, but strange, twisted. He counted them. 1, 2, 10, 15, 20, all heading straight for Earth. And none of them answered calls. Telvo whispered, "They're not here to talk." And behind him, the stars flickered. Something massive was warping in behind the fleet. Something bigger. Something worse. The sky above Earth was no longer quiet. One by one, the ghost ships appeared, 20 in total. They came out of dark space like shadows returning home. Their hulls were old, scarred, and blackened by past wars. But they were fast. Too fast. Human satellites tried to scan them. Most systems failed. The ships were shielded. Their designs were human, but not familiar anymore. Modified. Changed. And they weren't alone. Behind the fleet, something even larger came into view. A battleship. Not just big, massive. Larger than anything currently on Earth's defense list. It looked like a floating city wrapped in armor. Strange towers rose from its surface, and red lights blinked like eyes in the dark. This ship didn't come to talk. It came to take. In orbit, Captain Elena Morgan stood inside the platform's control room. Her face was cold, her eyes sharp. "All defense satellites, lock targets," she ordered. Her assistant hesitated. "Should we fire?" "No, not yet. Let them make the first move." She turned to the screen again. There it was. The ship they feared most. The Ghost flagship. Elena whispered, 711 is here. On the Varelian ship, Surak watched the human screens. They weren't being shared with him anymore. But he had his own sensors. "What are they?" one of his officers asked. Surak didn't speak. He stared at the massive ship. Telvo came in looking pale. "I've confirmed it," he said quietly. "That ship, it was once called the Mercy of Steel, a human experimental command ship. It went missing after the last war." "Missing?" Surak asked. "Yes," Telvo replied, "and the man who commanded it was never captured." "Who was he?" Telvo looked away. His name was removed from records, but humans call him 711. Surak's face darkened. "Why is he here now?" The Ghost fleet reached Mars orbit. It stopped for just 10 seconds. Then all ships changed course toward Earth. Inside the flagship, deep in the command chamber, a man stood alone. He wore an old Earth military uniform. Torn, dark. His face was half covered by a metal mask. One red eye glowed from it. He didn't blink. He didn't breathe heavily. He simply spoke. "Broadcast," he said. A robotic voice replied, "Ready to transmit." 711 stepped forward. "Earth, this is your creation speaking. You left us. You forgot us. But we did not forget you." He paused. "We are not here for war. We are here for justice." Then he ended the transmission. On Earth, every major city received the message. It played once on every screen. People panicked. Some screamed. Others stared in silence. In underground bunkers, world leaders met. "Who is he?" one demanded. Another answered, "A mistake. A secret soldier, built for war, left behind. Can we stop him?" No one answered. Back on the space platform, Captain Morgan stared at the frozen image of 711. "I knew he'd come back," she whispered. Her assistant looked shocked. "You knew him?" "I trained with him. Years ago. Before he changed." "What happened to him?" Elena looked away. "We built a perfect soldier. Then we lost control." She turned. "Now he's coming to collect what we owe." Inside the Ghostfly ship, 711 stared at the Earth on the screen. He lifted his hand. "All ships, prepare descent." The Ghost Fleet began to move. Their engines roared. They were falling toward Earth, not like visitors, like hunters. On the Virelian ship, Telvo shook his head. "Captain Morgan lied to us. Earth is not safe. It's unstable." Serac looked calm. "Not all humans knew. I believe many are afraid, just like us." "What do we do?" Telvo asked. Serac looked out the window. The ships were getting closer. He made a decision. "We stay. We learn. And we survive." Elena's console beeped again. One last message. From the flyship. Text only. "I remember you, Elena." Her blood turned cold. He remembered her name. And that meant only one thing. This was personal. As the first ghost ship entered Earth's atmosphere, it passed over the ruins of an old battlefield, one Elena had fought on long ago. The skies rumbled. Lights flickered. And across the stars, everyone knew. This was no longer first contact. This was the beginning of something far worse. The Ghost Fleet didn't fire a single shot. Not yet. It circled Earth slowly, like predators watching their prey. Cities below held their breath. Civilian flights stopped. Children stayed home. Soldiers filled bunkers. And still the flyship didn't speak again. Captain Elena Morgan stood in the space platform's war room. The walls were quiet. No voices. Just cold air and blinking lights. She watched the main screen. Ship data rolled by. Nothing had changed. And that was the problem. Her second-in-command leaned closer. "Why aren't they attacking?" "They're waiting," Elena said softly. "For what?" "For us to panic." On the Virelian ship, Telvo worked quietly. He had found something Earth had buried deep. A forgotten data node floating in the asteroid belt. Old Earth code. Military. Sealed for decades. He bypassed the lock. Inside, he found files. Dozens of files. And one name kept repeating. 711. Each report was worse than the last. Massacres during training missions. Orders ignored. Victories at terrible cost. Survivors too scared to speak. And then one line stopped him cold. Subject requested termination. Denied. Subject escaped shortly after. Telvo's hand shook. "Wait," he asked to Dodd. Meanwhile, on Earth, President Mara Ellis sat in the secure war chamber beneath Geneva. She had read the same files Telvo now studied. And she was angry. "You told me he was dead," she shouted. A gray-haired general stood before her. "We thought he was." "You thought?" "We created a monster and now he's outside our sky." The general lowered his eyes. "We tried to erase everything. Project Lazarus, the fleet, all of it." She stepped closer. "You erased the truth. Now the truth is here to erase us." On the Ghost flagship, 711 stood in silence. No officers, no crew near him. Only screens, only voices from the past. Old mission logs played softly. His own voice before the fall. He once sounded human. Now he sounded like war. A message appeared on one screen. "Elena Morgan is alive." He stared at the name. Then whispered, "So she still lives? Good." He turned to the ship's AI. "Begin Phase 1. The AI responded, deploying ground units. In the forests of Alaska, strange objects began to fall from the sky. They weren't bombs. They were pods, black, armored, and silent. They opened and tall figures stepped out. Human shapes, but wrong. Too tall, too still. No faces. Only helmets with red lights. They moved without sound. One by one, they began walking toward nearby towns. Not attacking. Just watching. Waiting. Captain Morgan received the report. She clenched her fists. He's deploying scouts. Why? Her assistant asked. To study us. To show us that we can't stop him. She turned. We need to talk to him. The assistant froze. You want to open a channel? I want to see what's left of him. If he even remembers how to speak like a man. Inside the Varelian ship, Telvo presented his findings to Sirach. This wasn't an accident. This was a cover-up. The humans tried to erase what they made. Sirach nodded. Then it's no longer just their problem. What do you mean? Sirach turned to the stars. If this 711 is not human anymore, then he is a danger to everyone. Telvo's eyes widened. You want to join the humans? Not yet, Sirach said. First, we watch what Elena Morgan does. Elena stood alone in the comms room. She stared at the cold screen. Her fingers hovered over the transmit button. She took a deep breath, then pressed it. This is Captain Elena Morgan, she said. Her voice was calm, strong. To the ship called Mercy of Steel. I'm calling you 711. Static. Then, an answer. His voice was low, metallic, but clear. Elena. She nodded. You remember me? I remember everyone they sent to kill me. I didn't come to kill you. No, you came to bury me. Like the rest. Elena shook her head. That's not why I'm calling. I need to know what you want. Silence. Then his voice returned, colder than before. I want them to feel what I felt. Forgotten. Hunted. Alone. She stepped closer to the mic. You don't have to do this. You can still stop. His reply came like a knife. I already started. And the signal cut. Across Earth, the ground shook. More pods fell. Not hundreds. Thousands. They weren't here to destroy cities. They were here to surround them. To choke them slowly. To remind Earth what it had created. And what it could no longer control. The world was changing fast. The Ghost Fleet stayed in orbit, silent to watching. On the ground, more pods landed in cities, forests, deserts. Streets that were once full of life were now empty. People stayed inside. The red lights of the pod soldiers glowed through windows at night. They didn't attack. They didn't speak. They just watched. And waited. Everyone felt it. Something was coming. In Geneva, President Mara Ellis walked into the war bunker again. Her face was pale, tired. A general handed her a new report. How many now? She asked. Over 12,000 units deployed across the planet, he said. No attacks yet, but they're closing in. On what? The general hesitated. Military bases, research centers, command outposts. President Ellis stared at him. He's cutting the nerve lines. He's trying to shut down Earth's brain. The general looked nervous. We may lose global control soon. Captain Elena Morgan stood inside the defense platform, watching the spread of red dots on her screen. Each dot was a pod soldier. Each dot was a threat. We need to hit back, her second-in-command said. No, she replied. Not yet. That's what he wants. Then what do we do? She didn't blink. We find his heart. Meanwhile, Telvo on the Varelian ship stared at a new signal, one he hadn't seen before. It was a hidden frequency. Weak, broken, but human. Captain Sirach. Telvo called. There's something strange. Sirach stepped beside him. Telvo played the audio. A voice whispered from deep space. This is Project Silent Hammer. If anyone hears this, we are Earth's last line. Sirach frowned. What is Silent Hammer? Telvo shook his head. I don't know, but I think it's still out there. Elena sat alone in her chamber reading old files. Her screen showed an image of 711, before the metal mask, before the red eye. He had a real name once, a smile, a voice like hers. He was human, a hero, and then they broke him. She whispered to herself, maybe Earth deserves this. Down below, in a secret mountain base, a hidden team of scientists worked in silence. They had no flags, no names. Just one mission, finished Silent Hammer. Inside a deep vault, they were building something big, strong, dangerous. One scientist looked at the design. It's not ready, she said. Her leader nodded. Doesn't matter. If we wait longer, nothing will be left to save. At the edge of orbit, a human scout ship drifted close to the Ghost fleet. The pilot's hands were shaking. This is Recon 7. Confirming ship scans. The enemy flagship is changing. The operator back on Earth asked, changing how? Parts of it are opening, it looks like. Weapon systems. Big ones. Repeat. Are you saying it's preparing to fire? The pilot swallowed hard. Yes, I think it's going to attack Earth's satellites. First strike. Then the signal cut. Earth's last eye in space went dark. Captain Elena stood up fast. He's going for our satellites. That'll blind us. Her second-in-command asked, do we fire back now? No, she said. Not yet. Then when? Elena stared at the screen. When he makes a mistake. On the Virelian ship, Serac and Telvo watched the same thing. He's playing a long game, Serac said. But every game has a crack. Telvo pointed at a pattern. The ships follow a path. There's always one blind spot. Serac narrowed his eyes. Then that's where we strike. Telvo blinked. Wait, you want to help the humans? Serac smiled slightly. I want to help life survive. In the flagship, 711 stood before a black screen. A small red light blinked. The AI spoke, satellite net will fall in 2 minutes. He gave no reaction. He just whispered, let them feel the dark. He walked away. He didn't need to watch. He already knew how it ended. But far above the planet, near the blind spot the Virelians found, a small object moved, almost invisible. It wasn't human. It wasn't alien. It was something else. It was Silent Hammer. And it was ready. Deep inside, its pilot opened her eyes. A woman with silver skin. Cybernetic arms. A mind linked to Earth's forgotten war machines. She smiled. Time to wake up. She pressed one button. Silent Hammer powered up. And Earth's last line finally came online. The sky burned with light. Above Earth, the Ghost fleet finally moved. Slow, dark ships opened like flowers of metal, massive weapons glowing red. The world watched in silence. They had no time left. But something moved faster than light. Something human. Something hidden. Silent Hammer. Inside the weapon, the pilot linked her thoughts to the machine. She was called Soul. She wasn't born, she was made, built in a lab as part of Project Silent Hammer, a living weapon for a war that never came. Until now. She whispered to herself, let's make them remember why they feared us. Her hands gripped the controls. Metal pulsed. A glowing shield burst around the ship as it charged into the center of the enemy fleet. The Ghost ships turned. Too late. Soul fired once. One shot. One light. And the first enemy battleship tore apart in total silence. In orbit, Captain Elena Morgan watched the impossible happen. A smile grew on her face. Silent Hammer is real, she whispered. Her second-in-command stared. She just destroyed a ship 10 times her size. Elena nodded. She was Earth's last line. Now she's our first hope. On the Virelian ship, Serac leaned forward. This is the moment. Telvo stared at the screen. We help now. Serac nodded. Transmit our strike path. Tell Earth. We stand with them. Telvo sent the message. Seconds later, the Varelian cannons joined the fight. The Ghost Fleet responded fast. They launched pods, thousands, like falling stars, all heading toward one location, Geneva. Inside Earth's war chamber, alarm screamed. President Mara Alice stared at the red lines falling toward her. "They're coming straight for us." A general shouted, "We can't stop that many." She didn't speak. Instead, she walked to the center of the room, took a deep breath, and said, "Send everything. Fighters, drones, all reserves. Mom, no more lines to hold. No more lies. We fight." Above them, Silent Hammer danced through the stars. But even Sol knew she couldn't do it alone. The Ghost Flyship turned, weapons aimed directly at her. She took a hit. Hard. Her systems flashed red. She screamed in pain, but stayed conscious. "Come on," she whispered. And then she heard a voice. "Alina the Hammer. Do you copy?" Sol's eyes lit up. "You're still alive." "Barely. We're sending you back up." Suddenly, Earth's old fleet, ships once hidden, old, forgotten, entered orbit. Rusted, yes, but armed. The fleet opened fire. The battle truly began. On the Ghost Flagship, 711 watched everything. He felt something. Not anger. Not fear. Something deeper. He remembered Earth. Laughter. Sunlight. His own name. Buried long ago. He turned to his AI. "Give me a link to Alina." The AI paused. "Risk. High. Do it." The screen lit up. Alina appeared. Face hard. Eyes sharp. "You finally ready to talk?" she said. 711 removed his helmet. His face was pale. Cold. Human, but damaged. "I didn't want to be this." She nodded slowly. "I know. They broke you. I wanted them to pay." "You did," she said. "Now let it stop." He looked away. Then whispered, "What's left of me? I'll end this." He closed the call and walked to the heart of his ship. In orbit, the Ghost Flagship's engines flared. But not toward Earth. It turned toward the other ghost ships and opened fire. Everyone watched in shock. The Ghost Fleet began destroying itself. 711 had changed sides. He was ending it, with him inside. Back on Earth, the pods falling toward Geneva stopped midair. They powered down, fell like empty shells. People ran outside and saw the sky clear. The Ghost Fleet gone. Silent Hammer floated quietly. Mission complete. In space, Elena whispered. He chose to remember who he was. And far beyond in the blackness, 711 whispered to himself. "My name was Marcus. I was human." Then the flagship exploded in light. One last whisper, echoing through the stars. Weeks later, Earth began to rebuild. Varelians helped. Other alien species watched in silence. They had seen Earth's darkest creation. They had seen Earth's forgotten strength. And now they spoke of it only in quiet voices. They said, "Don't wake Earth's war machines. Don't test a planet that forgets nothing. And most of all, if you ever hear a whisper from Earth, run. Because legends weren't lies. They were warnings."